Hi, and welcome back to the senior year game plan. Today we have an episode where we are navigating the final decisions for going to college or not. We're talking about school, money, and the right career. So I want to welcome everybody to the senior year game plan. I'm joined in the studio today, as always, by Alice Bao and Almarie Biru, who are both seniors in high school at Forest Hills High School in Queens, New York City. And they're here to help us all dig into the information we're talking about. So today's episode is all about those big, tough questions that every high school senior and parents are facing right now as the final stages of decision-making approach. The pressure is on to make choices that will shape the next few years of your life and beyond. So the questions are, where should you go to school? How will you pay for it? And then perhaps most importantly, what should you study to ensure a stable and fulfilling career? So we know these questions can feel overwhelming. That's why we have Omri and Alice here to break it down for us. And we'll also give you some practical insights into helping you with making those final decisions. So we're going to right now explore the value of campus visits, virtual ones. There's also in-person, of course, campus visits, and then how to use online tools to match your career goals with the right education program. And then finally, we're going to take a deep dive into one of the hottest fields. We like to do that. This one is cybersecurity. And then we're going to cover the basics of what it takes to get started, what types of jobs are available, and then how much these roles can pay. So let's dive in and start to build a path to a rewarding future. As we get into this first segment, I'm going to ask some questions of Omri and Alice when we're talking about exploring college and career fit through campus visits and virtual tours. So my question for you two are, what are some of the main things that you're looking for in a college or a trade school? So would it be potentially the strong programs in an area that you're interested in, or is it more career support services like internships that they would give? Or is it affordability? Could be location. And so these are some possible options. What do you think? Whoever wants to start. Marie?
Yes. So when I started looking for colleges, I didn't have a small filter. I had a wide filter. So I would filter my colleges based on the acceptance rate, the GPA they were looking for, the graduation rate, where it's located, the population, because I didn't want a small school. I didn't want a big school either, but I wanted a good sized school so I could meet new people from mainly everywhere, just with a good diversity. I looked at the outcomes. So, for example, after graduation, maybe from 6 to 8 years, or maybe even a year after graduation, how the job outcomes were. So if 90% of the students were had a job or a stable career before even graduating. So I was looking at that mainly. I was looking at where it was located. So maybe I have the most schools up in the Northeast right now because that's where I am. I have a few schools south, like Miami, Oklahoma, Texas. But the main thing I was looking at was the GPA and the programs I wanted to get into, and what percentage of the students in the school was participating in that program. So psychology, law, advertising. I was looking at how big of an importance and that it was to the school, that program.
Yeah, I see. I mean, it's great that you narrowed it down. So that's one important part, that you have to really look into your preferences of, do you want to be in a city? Do you want to? I went to George
Right.
Washington University, and it's in downtown DC. And in hindsight, I was looking at it for that I wanted to be in a city, but I didn't want to be in a city as big as New York. I also wanted to be in the Northeast because that's where I'm from. But in hindsight, I didn't realize that it was a city that was so catered towards the government that it offers unique opportunities. I mean, that's good and bad. If the government agency work is really what you're looking for to be a diplomat, ambassador, or anything else in the government, then so it's not just about city size. For me, in hindsight, I found out that it's also about what is strong in that city. Last week, we talked to Samantha in finance, and obviously New York City is really strong in finance amongst other trades. So thinking about not only do I want to be what kind of campus, big or small, but also do I want to be in a city, outside of a city, in the suburbs, in rural, and then once you're there, do I want a big campus, small campus, etc. So these are great questions that you're going through. Alice, I didn't forget about you.
When it comes to like colleges, I'm more drawn into colleges that foster creativity and like provide cutting edge resources and more offer more hands-on opportunities because like I feel like that way I will be able to learn more about things that I haven't experienced. Like I agree with Amari. I also like look at first the majors, the main majors that everybody goes for, and its percentages, and then I will look at the graduating rate, not graduating rate, the acceptance rate, and then I will look at what majors like they end up getting, like what jobs they end up getting, and um I think that's mainly my thing.
Right. Okay. So for you, it could be proximity to internships because you really want to get like work established in your field. And that's important too. Last week, we were talking to Samantha in finance, and she said that internships start almost your freshman year. I mean, some people are undecided freshman year, but as soon as you become decided, it sounds like getting an internship in your field is really important because that could really play a role in establishing relationships. And next week we'll talk more about networking and establishing relationships with businesses or other people that can point you towards the great career, because it is all about who you know, well, what you know, and who you know. So okay, so access to internships or access to a school that's going to be really connected to help you get into the field that you want to do. So what about Amri and Alice, when you think about comfortable and supportive, because Alice mentioned also comfortable and supportive, and of course that is going to be important, that you want to feel valued and supported. What does that mean to you? So does that mean the professors are approachable? Does it mean that there are clubs that match your interest, or maybe there are good support services like tutoring, counseling, that you know that you have help if you need it, and like I mentioned, the access to internships. So, what do you think of when you are talking about comfortable and supportive?
When I'm thinking comfortable and supported, I'm thinking more of like a diverse community that is like very accepting of like who you are and without any discrimination, and also like probably like financial comfortability, right? Because I feel like if I'm like financially stable and not worrying about my financial issues, I could focus more on the work that I'm putting in instead, and also like the friends around me. And I feel like comfort also works on like the homing situations in like colleges, like the dorming, or like if you like live outside campus.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So you want to be able to feel safe, that like financially safe and also physically safe, and then supportive. I mean, we're from New York City. We're very used to diversity. And so probably if we went to something that was not diverse, to a school campus that was very homogenous, we'd feel like fish out of water. So like we kind of need that because we're so used to it, but it also fosters a greater potentially learning environment because of all of the different perspectives. So I totally get that. But as far as feeling financially secure, I was talking to a doctor. Oh, she's what's it called when after you finish your medical school? Oh, she's a resident, so she has 3 years in the residency. And I was speaking with her, and I said, "How did you pay for school?" She said, "All on a student loan." I said, "How much do you owe right now?" She said, "Almost $300,000." Which sounds absolutely nuts. But when you think about all of the school, sometimes you have to take out a loan in order to get that financial security and then deal with it later when if you're going to be in one of these high earning, high salary positions, you know you're going to be able to pay it back. And then sometimes, I mean, not sometimes, if you work for a nonprofit or a government where you're making less money and you're paying off that student loan after X amount of time. I think it's 120 months, which is a long time. It's like once a month for 10 years or more. You get that student loan forgiven. So as long as as long as you're chipping away at the loan, you can get that loan forgiven. Or if you're working for private company, private doctor, or your own clinician as a doctor, private practice, you're going to make a lot of money and be able to pay off that loan sooner. So the idea of financial security by taking out a student loan, even though it might sound exasperating to owe that much, but you are investing in yourself, in your future, and the end result is going to be that positive outcome of a high earning career. So I get it, the sense of security that you need to be in a safe space. And campuses right now, some are being attacked often as places that are too safe, and it doesn't allow for outside conversation or alternate disagreeing conversation, that people try to cancel you if you say something extremely different than everyone else on campus is saying. But really, this is something that is being worked on, that campuses are addressing this, because the diversity of feeling like you're in a safe space on campus means that you should be able to say whatever you want, even if people disagree. So feeling that safety physically and financially, but also like mentally, that you don't have to eliminate your ideas or cater to the more popular idea on campus, is also so important, that you feel like you're in a safe space to express yourself. Amri, I didn't get to you yet. Did I ask you this question out? Okay, I didn't think.
So for me, when it's like to be comfortable in a school, the main thing I'm looking for is a supportive faculty and environment, like student based. So like you said, we are from a diverse area, and New York has like, I think, representing every country maybe. So I would want a school who is supportive of diversity and who's accepting of it, and they will push students to create their own clubs or to push them to taking risks. Because in college, I feel like that's one of the big things we have to go through, is taking risks and just not always going the way we are comfortable, like living comfortably. I know it's an important thing to be comfortable, but when it's time to make a big step and to go into the future, we have to take a risk. So I want an environment that is going to help me with, even if I fail, sometimes they're going to help me get up again, and they're going to understand where I'm coming from. Like Alice said, I would like a school that would help me financially, so I would be comfortable not worrying about the loans I have to pay afterwards. So whether they give good scholarships that I'm able to get, or mainly all the students are able to get. So the percentage of the federal loans they give out to the students, I feel like that's an important thing as well.
Yeah. So feeling that kind of safety, but knowing that that a campus is also, you have to leave it at some point, and so we have to learn in a safe space how to express ourselves in a way that that is going to be accepting in the outside world too. So learning that is so important in college. Now we're going to get to college visits. It's really hard. We live in, you have to drive somewhere, a lot of, especially in New York or other parts of the country. If you're not in a city, you're going to have to drive there. And so getting to a campus, unless it's an amazing school like your school that offers some college visits, but I noticed last year my daughter went on a weekend or a few days to visit some colleges in the Boston area, but they were all private colleges. And of course, they look amazing. My daughter came home excited about Providence College or some of the other MIT, some of the other great looking schools, because they have more money. They look gorgeous. I said, I want you to go now. Then we went a few months later during spring break to SUNY, to the state of New York. And so she saw that SUNY campuses are also beautiful. And so state schools, even if you don't get a chance to go to them, it's overwhelming to actually physically, especially if you don't have a car or you don't have the time to get to a campus visit. But they are important to at least get a virtual sense. So there's a lot of ways that you can have a virtual tour of a campus. So have either of you gone to either visit campuses or do virtual campus tours? And if you did it help you shape your views?
So I did have a few campus tours. Most of them were virtual. Since I live in Oklahoma, I'm applying to Oklahoma. I did go to campus a lot because my friends and I hang out over there. It's a very beautiful campus. The student life is amazing. But the virtual ones I did online was the University of Miami, the University of South Carolina, and Pepperdine University. I think Syracuse. Yeah, I think that's what I did.
Okay, so you were able to go on the virtually and you kind of can mess around on their website and see what's going
Yes.
on. It was pretty easy to access that stuff.
Yes, it was. So it was like a link, and then you had a few questions to fill out. I noticed that a few schools had the same website basically, so it had the same questions. And at the end, it said, "Okay, you're ready to take the virtual tour." So it was on my phone, and then it said to stand up. So on the phone, it had like little arrows, and when you turned around, you could see everything. When you put the phone up, you could see the sky and everything. It was so cool. And then you could like walk, and then there were short videos, so you would see like a little play or pause button, and then when you pressed it, there would be kids talking about what happens here. So for example, in their dorms or the cafeteria, outside where they hang out. And I think that because they do it, it's so good for students to see that they're interested in them coming to the school. They're interested in what they other people think about the school, and they're giving those who can't actually come on campus, like in person, they're giving them ways to show them that the students are interested if they don't have the money, like you said, or the cars to get there. I feel like the schools that do have the virtual tours are the ones that really are big on student life, big on you being important to them.
Interesting. Yeah. So I was actually thinking of it the opposite way, that you could see that their facilities, you could hear from current students,
Yeah.
but that actually it was more like it showed you that their level of commitment and their level of care. That's interesting. Yeah. What about you, Alice? Did you go to any or virtual tours?
I haven't done any tours like in person or like any virtual ones, but like I do search up like YouTube videos that like people post about like my daily life of college life. And I feel like that is like really helpful because they show like the main places that they go to, or like whenever they need to study, where to go. And I think that's really helpful for me.
Yeah, exactly. You can see videos of campus life on YouTube. And so you can get a feel for each school. So when you go, do you still feel, Alice, when you go on YouTube and you watch some video about the campus life, do you feel like that's enough? Or do you feel like you're missing something by not going to physically that type of school?
I feel like definitely I do feel limited because I wouldn't know like some places because if they don't mention it, I wouldn't know. But I feel like also like traveling, it's like hard for me. That's why I feel like they should create like you know how like Google Maps has um a 3D view of how to go to the campus. I feel like schools should do that.
Yeah, good idea. Exactly. And so obviously the schools are putting resources like money into these kind of advertisements to make their campus look great. And that's my only concern is that of course they're going to be putting the best advocates for the positives of their school on the video. And so, and it's hard to get a sense of, okay, what are the negatives because you're only being presented. But I guess that would also happen in on-campus tours. And on-campus just gives a little bit more nuanced of feeling. Like you feel like there's a feeling that you get. I know that my daughter felt it when she went to Binghamton University. She felt like a little bit better than when she had gone to a smaller, like the SUNY Albany. We visited that too. And it's just really a feeling that you can't describe, but I think that you can also get those kind of feelings of comfort by looking at the YouTube videos because it's not just about who is presenting, but it's also what's in that background and who you see walking on the campus. Do they look like you? Does it look like somewhere that you can fit in? So definitely they have a value. So is there something I mentioned about that feeling about a campus tour that would help you decide if it's a good fit? Is there anything else that you would be interested in a campus tour that would make it feel like a good fit for you, like for example, dorms or what the classrooms look like? Maybe would you want to meet some professors and, like I said, like the feeling of the campus overall? Are these things important to you?
I just want to give a comment on what you were saying. I do watch the YouTube videos as well. There's a good YouTube channel called College Tour that I look at, and the way they present it, it was so good. Like every single school, it was so good. Like I want to go to all the schools, but I know I can't. Yeah, but I also feel like it's biased because they put certain students on there, certain people to make the school look good. So when you look at videos like Alice does, from a student's perspective, it really shows you how would I be in their shoes, or what am I gonna go through what they're going through. For example, if you look at a student who's gonna take the same classes as you and they describe what the rigor is like, they describe what their daily life is like, I feel like that's very helpful overall. So it's probably not um advertised by the school that students do those things, but because it's out there because the students want other students interested in their school, or just to give them a view of what that certain school is like, I feel like that's good as well. Can you remind me of what you asked? Sorry.
So I was saying, is there something that would help you decide on a campus tour or a virtual tour if a school is a good fit, potentially what the dorms look like, potentially what the classrooms look like? And it's not just about what the dorms look like. Like if you're living in a group of four, or if you're living in, if you have your own like a group of four and you all and those four share one bathroom, or if there's just one bathroom in the whole hallway for like 20 people, or if there's only women, girls on one floor and boys on another, or if it's a dorm with all girls, like do these things make a difference to you about if the school is a good fit, and can you find that stuff on virtual tours?
So there are a few schools that I have spoken to, like on interviews, that told me about these things. I know there's some resident halls that are only girls and others are only boys. I haven't spoken to a school who has both genders on the same building, so like male and female, maybe on just different floors. I feel like it is important to know about these things because it's the little things that matter, like we say. So it's not only what the major is, like the popular major, or what the school looks like. I feel like when you go on campus or when you get that information from the school itself, it shows you that the school wants you to be comfortable as a whole. So when they give you maybe what the food is like every day, or like you said, who's on the floor, or who lives in the resident halls, or how many of us is gonna be in a room, if it's four, if it's two, how the day's gonna be like at the end, how we're gonna shower, how we're gonna get our food, how we're gonna move around. If we need a car, how big is the campus? I feel like all of that is important to me because even though the school may be perfect with the academics, the little things does matter. So maybe how's the parking? Are the students accepting? Are they nice? Are they willing to help you if you're lost? So can I just like go up to someone and ask them for help and they're willing to help me? So I feel like it is very important to me.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And Alice, what do you think?
I think generally I have asked them the questions, right? About like, oh, how does dorming work? And like how does like the bathroom work for each dorm? And they were really informative, saying like, it's like um one dorm shares like one bathroom while like another dorm shares another bathroom. So I felt like that was a good idea because before I go in, I want to know how living there is like. I agree with Amari that like having friends or like people that accept you and like is there to help you whenever you need is like a very pivotal point that I look for.
Right. Yeah. So even if they don't have a virtual tour for the campuses, or even if they do, a lot of the schools offer like a student guide or live question and answer sessions, so that it could be a complement to virtual tours. And then as far as um, living in the dorms and feeling comfortable, there's a resident RA. What does that stand for? Resident advocate, maybe. And that is like a person, like the dorm kind of manager, and that's a student. And so, and that's another way by the way, to pay for college, because if you are the RA, like the kind of manager of that dorm, or even an RA at each floor, sometimes have an RA, you can live for free as as that resident. Maybe it's called resident advisor. But those are all over the place in the dorms. And so they're there to help you too. But it's hard to know this stuff without actually getting the information from each and every school, which again is daunting. So I don't want you to feel too overwhelmed by it, because really just, there are so many schools. So just try to narrow it for yourself by GPA, what you think you can get into, by the class size, or wherever it is that you want to be. So these that we've talked about, what makes you want to be at one college as opposed to another, it's different for every person. So virtual tours, campus tours, Q&A from right on the website. Oftentimes it'll say chat with the student, and you can go live and ask some questions right from their website. So all of these are great tips for helping everybody decide about which college. So what about, we talked about on our first episode, but we're going to go back to it, online career and college matchmaking tools. Now, I know today is November 1st, and it's the day like that everything is due for early action. So I think that both Amory and Alice, you have some things due today, or you put them in yesterday because they were due today. Good for you. How do you feel? Are you a little less overwhelmed that you clicked submit on something?
So, I have already submitted my in-state application, so that was good. It felt good. Last night, I just had this feeling like maybe you should, because most of my schools, I think I did a little filter, so I have less private schools, but there still are a good bit of them. So I just had this feeling to just calculate the application fees, because you have to pay, and I have like 17 colleges on there. So I don't want to tell you to guess how much money I had to pay, but it was over $1,000, and I was like, I am not doing that. So I sat down with my mom, because I was gonna send all of them in, and I just had this thing to just check before I start paying. So I just sat with my mom, and then we looked at the schools. So she was like, "But what did you do get into the Pepperdine University? It's in California." She's like, "Do you really want to go?" I told her I did want to go, but I also didn't want to be too far from home, because I would want to go home just to spend time with my family. And flying from California to New York, maybe every 2 months, I probably would not want to do that. I would want to be maybe like less than that away, just so I could spend time with them often, because I feel family is important to me. So I filtered that. So I took off a good amount of schools just because of the distance. So I had a few of them that was very far away in the South and on the West Coast. So that was really helpful. But today I am going to sit down with her again to just make sure before I submit anything else, because it was crazy that I had to pay so much money just for applications.
Oh my gosh, I know. So yeah, that's a great point. We
Yeah.
can't just spread all over the place because it's just too expensive. And
Mhm.
so then it really just comes back to feeling like, okay, even though it would be cool to be in California, but it would feel better for me to know that I'm kind of a drive away or a train
Right.
ride away.
Exactly.
And so it's coming back to that kind of a feeling of what you want, and holding to those, and in saying, you know what, even though I would love Pepperdine and it's a great, or whatever school, I'm not willing to. And just to sometimes you consolidate that way, that you know what you don't want. What do you think, Alice? Were you also feeling a little bit relieved today? Did you hit submit yesterday, and that's one box that you can check, or you hit submit and you're like, oh, what if I forgot this? How do you feel?
Definitely, I got the vibe of like, oh no, what if I did my essay wrong? What if I did like something wrong, filled out the forms wrong? I definitely still have that in my mind, but I feel a bit relieved because I have like at least like a few schools like off my shoulders. However, I'm still worried for like the ones I'm still applying to, and I'm definitely like nervous about the results as well.
Yeah, it's a really nerve-wracking time, because your future is kind of in the air right now. Not kind of. It's in the air right now. And so the next few months will be probably a nail biter type of experience while you did everything that you can. And I'm sure that both of you have really done everything that you can. And if somebody out there is listening and saying, oh, wow, November 1st, you're right, it's early action. It shouldn't be like that because your school, your guidance counselor should have informed you that today is the day. But if for some reason today is the day for early action, hit submit, check it one more time if that's the route you want to go. But for those that were not doing early action or those schools that you're continuing to look at, there's tools like One Stop and Naviance. And so I'm going to ask the two of you, did either of you explore careers or school options through Career One Stop or Naviance? Maybe you helped it find careers for Naviance that match your interests. Maybe you haven't done it either of those. So whoever wants to start.
Naviance gives like you options, but like I looked through them and like none of them really interest me. So I rather than like relying on those apps, I just search them up and explore the colleges myself. That way I could like customize it to my own comfort instead of just like going on based on what the apps or websites say.
Okay. And then as far as, because Naviance is talking about linking linking majors to careers. Is that correct? And so you're saying that Naviance didn't have necessarily the career options that you were that you're interested in?
Yeah, they gave good options, but I was just like, well, like I'm not really interested in going to those schools. I'd rather like stay closer. It's also about the location of the schools as well, because some of them were like really far, and I didn't want to like travel that far.
Yeah, exactly. Amri?
So in the beginning of my college search, I did rely on Naviance a lot. So I did the test where I don't think it was a personality test. I think it was a career test. So it would ask you, do you like this? How would you feel if you're working in this area? So I did that a couple times. I did it in the beginning and I did it like a month ago. I still ended up in the same area. So like entrepreneurship, business, law. So that helped me, but I didn't really like for now, like at the moment I don't rely on it anymore because it's a website and I feel like it doesn't really have everything. So like I said, it gave me really schools that were really far away. So I did use Google a lot. There was like this filter on Google that would help you match what you want. So like the location, they had a filter for it. They had different career filters. So I used that currently and recently, not currently because I already found the schools. Using that was better than Naviance because you were able to see everything about the schools like right away. So like Naviance would match you based on what you put on the website, and the schools on Google they would just give you based on how good the school is. So I did that, and they gave me everything one time: the acceptance rate, the graduation rate, the GPA they wanted. I feel like that was good. They also gave me the cost after aid, which was really helpful when filtering and choosing what schools I would want to apply to.
And so which link is this? Or you just typed into Google a search?
Yeah, so I typed in best colleges for law and psychology, and they gave me the schools that the percentage of the students that went there majored in psychology and law, and they gave me everything else I just said, so the GPA, the cost after aid, the graduation acceptance rate.
And so did it give you, out of curiosity, John Jay College, which is a
It
city
did.
university? Okay. Because that
Yes.
is big in law. Okay, so you guys both used a little of this. And just to remind others out there that if you are looking for a place to start, if you're overwhelmed and haven't really gotten to the point of even being clear about where to start looking for colleges, that Career One Stop, the Naviance, and then also a Google search, like Marie said, can help you to just kind of figure out how to narrow down in this world where there's so many colleges coming at you. So for Amri and Alice, how important are things like projected job growth or average starting salary in your decision making? I mean, is it very important because you want to make sure there's a job waiting for you when you finish school? Or is it somewhat important because you're really more interested in doing something you enjoy over everything else?
I think for me, definitely because I'm trying to major in business, and I feel like if a job security is secured, then I'll be able to start right away rather than worrying about finding a job in like the business industry where there's like numerous options, but that doesn't mean that I'm guaranteed to get in for every like job that I apply to. So it's definitely important for me.
Okay, so you're saying that job growth and average starting salary are really like your top. Okay. And what about you, Amari? Or you want to align? I mean, I'm not saying that you have to disregard. We're trying to align what we like with what is going to be paying, uh, paying the most, right?
Yeah, so like we talked about last class, I feel like the career in psychology and law isn't gonna be too much of a risk to go into because I feel like it's still gonna be there because it's more based on people and how and the everyday life, which I don't feel like AI is gonna really take over too soon. So that was what I was looking at mainly based on what we talked about last class. I mentioned earlier that the outcomes after graduation is important. So I went to an open house last week and one of the students came along and he's a senior, and it was really interesting that he hasn't even graduated and it's only the first semester in his senior year, and he already has a secure job in Dallas, Texas waiting for him, a 6-figure job. And I was
And
so
so
happy
how
for
did
him.
let's back up. How did he get
Okay.
that? Is it because he was in an internship and then that led to an employment offer?
So I feel like the schools that offer internships are really good schools. Like maybe from day one are really good schools. So he did internships. He was saying that he did internships. I feel like every semester it was a different internship. So the school that he went to is Alabama University. Well, he currently is still enrolled there. They have a lot of links. So he went to Chicago. He went to Miami. I think he went to Washington as well. I don't remember everywhere else he had internships, but um he did go to a lot of internships and he got a lot of hands-on experience. So that's important when you're looking for a school to see if they offer those things to you, not only as a freshman, but as you go along. Because I do know some schools don't offer internships as freshmen because they really want you to focus on the work at first and getting into your field. Also, he did I think he tripled major or something in statistics, math, and I forgot what it was, but it was a lot. He was really encouraging to those who did not want to triple major or even double major. So that was good. And he was saying that the school he's going to, so Alabama, they did offer the same opportunities to those kids who doesn't want to triple major. So it was his choice to major in all of these things because he wanted to. But yeah, at the end of the day, I feel like it's amazing that he already has a secret 6-figure job and he just started his senior year.
And what is the job in? What is there? What is it in law? Like you're
It's a
looking at?
business job. I don't remember what exactly he said it was, but it's somewhere in Dallas. I don't remember.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like a note to all of us that universities offer these with industries that one can't necessarily get when you're trying to potentially cut time and cut costs with a certificate and not going to a 4-year degree. So rolling that into education in general, like if you, both of you, I'm asking if you found a career that you're interested in that required a lot of education or maybe even an extra certification, would that discourage you or would you dive into researching it now that we see that the colleges and the schools are offering, they have a lot of opportunities to engage you with internships or with research projects with professors on the campus. But I mean, it could discourage you because you don't want to be in school for too long and it's also expensive. But then you could research it and maybe the payoff is better as far as salary and job security so that you're open to it. So what do you think about staying in school for a long time? Would you weigh the benefits and see if it makes sense, or do you both want to like get out of school as quickly as you possibly can?
When you're talking about a long time, it depends on how long. If it was like 10 years, I would definitely be like, no. But like if it was like a few more years, like 2 more years after my bachelor's degree that I hope to get, I would view it as like an exciting opportunity to start and learn more. And like I value learning and would view additional education as like a chance to dive deeper and about the field that I care about and enhance my values. And definitely, even instead of like, rather than think of education, I feel like I could meet new people And I find finding connections very important because like the more people you know, the more like you could receive views, their perspectives of the careers that they're also interested in. And definitely I think it's a good thing that I would pursue.
Okay, so you're saying basically you'd weigh it out. You don't like more school. Okay, how much more school? How much more time? How much more money? For me, I was offered to get my doctorate in linguistics because I speak Mandarin Chinese and I was a Chinese intel analyst in the military. After I got my master's, when I thought about because I'd already had taken time off to be active duty in the military, then I went back to get my master's degree. Then I was offered the doctorate in linguistics, and it would have been a research at the school I was at, University of Colorado in Boulder, Colorado. It would have been completely paid for, and which is amazing. You think, well, Michelle, why'd you say no to that? But given all of the factors, and it all depends on you. I was already had taken so many years between learning Chinese and my undergrad and then my master's degree. I was at an age where I just couldn't fathom going through a doctorate program for another 3 to 5 years. That was too much. And so we do really have to weigh, even though it's great to say that you're a doctor, but you have to weigh it. What is really where's the cap in your industry? And it takes a lot of research, what you're going to make as opposed to how much time you're going to spend in school. So what do you think about that, Marie? I don't think I asked you yet, or you didn't answer yet.
So at first, I did think extra years in college, I was not gonna do it at all. But when I realized that it's okay, for example, I saw my sister doing it, so she's still in school. She's 26 and she's still in school. And then she started college when she was 18, so straight out of high school. I feel like it's okay now. At first, it wasn't. Like, I did not want to be in school after 25. But when you're really interested in a school, when you're really interested in a career and really having a successful life afterwards, even though it's going to take maybe 10 years, it may seem like a really tough decision to make. For me, it's something I did have to really think about a lot. It took months for me to think about it because when I started my college search, I did not at all want to look for a career that took more than 5 years, maybe. But right now, I am fine with leaving school at maybe 28, maybe just a few more years, even if I have to get my doctorate right away. For example, my sister again, she just started her doctorate and she's 26. So I feel like it's okay for me to take taking her steps as well because I don't want to get my master's and then a few years pass and I'm like, oh my gosh, I really should have just stayed. So 4 years later, I would have had my doctorate instead of doing nothing. I feel like I'm not sure what the difference is really because to just say I'm a doctor, I feel like I would still be able to get the same opportunities. Maybe it's a few more that are higher. But if you want to weigh out the years you take or the student loans afterwards, I feel like you have to really bargain with yourself. If you have maybe really important people in your life that you think is gonna affect, I feel like it's important to talk to them about it as well. But make sure you're just for you that your mental health is okay when you want to go about that path and spending 10 years in college just for something that's probably gonna be I don't want to say useless because to some people it is important to them that they become a doctor. At first it may not, so it's okay to start school later because my mom, she also got her master's later, so it's okay to do that and take some time off. But if you want to just go straight for it and just swing it out and take all the years, pay all the loans afterwards, and make all the money afterwards and be happy, then it's okay. I feel like whatever path you take, just make sure that you're okay with it, the people around you are okay with it, and yeah.
Yeah, sure. Because they're even right. If you want to get a doctor's degree, there has to be a reason for it that you need it. For example, you want to be a
Right.
professor at a university, then it's better that you have your doctorate degree. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you can accomplish a lot with a master's degree. And
I agree.
then uh and then as far as the people around you, and then there's also ways to pay off things. Like if you go to law school and you have all this debt, you could join the military and they'll pay for your law degree or they'll pay for your medical degree as long as you give them back time and service. So that's always a possibility to pay back if you're going for student loans. And then like when you're at the school itself, you're going to run into opportunities like I did when I was at University of Colorado in Boulder. A professor said, hey, come on and study with me and get your doctorate degree. You'll run into those too. The more that you network with the professors, you'll have opportunities like that. And as women, we need to also think about at what point or if we want to start a family and how we're going to leverage that with all of this studying. So it's something that every woman from the beginning of time who has gotten her education has to deal with. And so we have to think about those things too. So we're talking about different ideas that will help you shape and navigate your concept of what you want in a college. Hopefully this was helpful to everyone. And I just want to take the last few minutes to talk about cybersecurity, because it's a career path that maybe doesn't get that much attention. We hear it, but we know that the threats of cyber threats are growing all the time. In fact, we were going to have 2 individuals in cybersecurity on our program this week, but because of the timing, because of the political events of the moment, because we have a election in a few days from now, they couldn't come away from their job. So cybersecurity is always a threat, especially during these politically turbulent times. That means that there's an entry and availability for a job and future career. So that's what we want to go into, that it is a rapidly growing field, essential for protecting data and information across the industry. So for you guys, I want to ask, have either of you thought about careers in technology or cybersecurity at all? No, Alice, no, it's not interesting to you. Okay.
Yeah, it's not interesting to me either. I have a few cousins who are studying it right now. I have never asked them about it or how it's going. I think I should. I think it's a good paying job. I think it's important in today's world to be able to have these skills. From last time we spoke, the last podcast, it did make me more interested in AI. So maybe just taking a few classes of coding or anything that's connecting to AI would be helpful for me and society in the future. So the more people who we have that's maybe just a little bit educated in those fields, I feel like that's important for us as a whole. But with me really focusing on cybersecurity, I don't think I'd go that route. If you want to go that route, congratulations to you. I think it's a great route to go. It's just not my strong point.
Yeah, right, exactly. There's a lot of tech people
Yeah.
that love gaming or coding, and they maybe never even thought about. They thought, oh, computer science, but never really
Mhm.
thought about cybersecurity because they don't know what it's involved. What is involved in it, and maybe the thought of protecting people's data. I mean, that is as important as protecting people's lives. Like the police departments protect physically. This is equally important. So I mean, what do you guys think of cybersecurity when you hear cybersecurity? You think about like hackers and protecting systems from getting hacked, or like firewalls, passwords, making sure that there's privacy. Any thoughts on it?
I think it's definitely essential, but like I've done coding before and I realized coding is not my thing because it's really difficult. Like once one thing messes up, something else messes up afterward. So I felt like it requires like if you're really passionate about coding and like you're really passionate about protecting the safety of other people's information, you could pursue that career. But for me, it's not something I would want to pursue.
So you hope that somebody is doing the securing, but you don't want to be the one doing.
Yeah.
And you too, Amory. Thanks, but no thanks.
I agree with what Alice was saying. I've never taken a coding class. My mom did. I've never really asked her about it. I never asked anyone about it that I know have been interested in it. But I think it's because my mindset is like, yeah, I'm not gonna go that route. I think that's why. I am gonna talk to her about it later today. I'm gonna talk to my cousins about it just to see what it's like, just to get a feel of it. Because I don't want to judge just by my thoughts and just by what I see online or hear from others. I feel like it's better for me to make that judgment based off first-hand experience. So that's why I said in the future I probably would take a coding class or anything tech-wise. But when it comes to cybersecurity, I think of people like you said, like police, they protect us physically. I feel like it's like that, but just Internet-wise, yeah.
Okay, so you think it's important, there's value, but
Yes.
you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself. You'd rather do something that is potentially more related to people and less related to coding and data.
I feel like if I were to get into the field, it would be because I have a passion for it. So if I did have the mindset that I would be great at it, then I would definitely take it. But it's because I don't want to go into something and then I would want to give up. It's just AI is not really my thing to work with. I know there are a lot of people who like it, so like gamers maybe they would really go into that field. So if you're really hands-on tech, I think you should take that route. It's just not me.
Right, right. So I'm just going to mention a few careers in cybersecurity before we leave it at this, because I know I'm taking a lot of your time today. There's a security analyst, there's a penetration tester, there's a cybersecurity consultant, and there's a chief information security officer. So in these roles, security analysts they make 70 to 90,000 per year. Penetration testers, 80,000 to 100,000 per year. Security consultant is 90 to 120,000 per year. The CISO, which I mentioned, the Chief Information Security Officer, that is 150 to more than 300,000 per year. And so students that are interested in careers in cybersecurity, there are some great education out there. Just to mention just a few, there here in New York, there would be NYU. They have a BS or an MS in cybersecurity. And there's CUNY John Jay of Criminal Justice. That is a BS, a Bachelor of Science in Cybersecurity. And then, of course, if you're not then there's Columbia University with a Master of Science in Computer Science with a cybersecurity track. So these are great New York City options. But if you're not in New York City, there's University of California at Berkeley as a Master of Science in Information and Cybersecurity. There's also the University of Maryland at College Park. It has a BS in cybersecurity and an MS in cybersecurity. So a bachelor's and a master's. There's Georgia Institute of Technology with an online MS in cybersecurity. And then if you just want a certificate online and your entry level, you could get a certificate called TIA Security Plus. You could also get a certificate called Certified Ethical Hacker, and that's a CEH. These are all like short durations for studying. 3 to 6 months is the first one. The Certified Ethical Hacker is only 4 to 5 day boot camp. Then there's Google has a cybersecurity professional certificate. That's through Coursera, and it's 3 to 6 months. It's self-paced. So these are just a few options for how one could get into cybersecurity if you are destined for a field that you really don't want to be necessarily in front of people. You'd rather be in front of computers, but you don't know where to go. Cybersecurity is something that's definitely up and coming. So now that I mentioned Anne-Marie and Alice, the potential salaries, is that something that you expected? Did you think it was going to be that high? And then would you be interested? Like, would you take a second look at it now that you saw that the salaries are so good?
I'm not gonna lie, I did expect it to be like a little bit higher. You said 90,000, right?
Starting 90.
Oh, starting. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's in my head right now.
Okay, so even if you are not interested, now that you have the information, you can go and talk to your friends that are studying that and say, hey, did you look into that? Did you think about this? What about these certificates? So
Yeah,
maybe if
totally.
you're not interested, you can still pass the information.
Yeah, because to see that the starting is so much, it just shows how important it is. That's how I feel about it. So I know it is important because AI is an upcoming thing and then we need it. Just everyone does. Big companies does. I know for sure. So they would pay a lot maybe to have someone who is really good at it and who really has a passion in it. So I would encourage others if they maybe like tech stuff to look into it. Yeah, I think I'm good in my field as for now, but I am gonna look into it because it's now interesting for me. Maybe just to learn a little bit about it. Yeah, I feel like just a knowledge about it would be good for everyone.
Right. Yeah. And Alice, you mentioned you're interested in business. So without coding, you could actually do consulting where you would be cybersecurity consulting that would allow you to work with different companies. Is that something that maybe you could throw into your mix of options that you would be interested in business? Who knows?
No, I think this chance of learning more about these like career paths, I definitely would like keep it up in my mind because like I feel like it's something good to explore. But if I were to think deeply into it, like even though it's like starting salary of 90,000, I feel like do I have like the capabilities to like increase that? Do you have the capabilities to like hold that 90,000? Because that's like my main concern. And that's why I wouldn't want to pursue cybersecurity because I feel like it's like, do I have the capabilities? I know like I could definitely learn more to like enhance my skills, but I'm just saying like there's also like a possibility for the worst too.
Right. So there's job security that's important for both of you. And then since it's a growing field, that could even have its positives and negatives. Growing that makes it more appealing, or growing that it's overwhelming. You constantly need to be learning new things and you don't know if you have the capability to learn things that haven't even been diagnosed yet. So that makes sense. So even though you might not have thought about this kind of job, it's good to know about the fields that are in high demand. So I know we're going at our time. I just wanted to wrap up by encouraging everyone listening to this to think about how the different paths can align with both your career goals and your personal values. And that includes what you're looking for on a campus. So then, are there any new things, you guys, my final question to you, that you'll be looking for on a campus tour or in-person matching tool? Maybe you will now go to a Q&A chat on the campus website and ask a question to a student. Maybe you didn't know that was there, or maybe it would be more interesting to see if cybersecurity might be included in business options. So maybe any last thoughts about, now that we've kind of matched in campus visits, virtual visits, and then cybersecurity, either a final thought about looking into the schools or cybersecurity, or if there's something now that you want to explore in your career or education paths that you didn't know about before. Any final thoughts from either of you?
Definitely, I would like check out more cybersecurity and ask around of like how is it and stuff like that. I'll definitely try looking more into it.
And how it can integrate with business, because if you don't want to be in front of a computer coding, then maybe consultancy in the business realm, but in the cybersecurity world could be a good alignment for you. And then there's these certifications like that are surprisingly short, that maybe if you could just knock one out and then you have a little bit of expertise, and that you're not completely clueless in that world. What do you, maybe you're going to now sign up for an online career tool and start exploring cybersecurity jobs a little more. Marie, what do you think? Final thoughts?
So I just wanna mention that the Q&A I'm definitely gonna go look into, because as soon as you said it, I was like, oh right, I did see, like whenever I opened like a link for college, I did see it pop up, but I just automatically just exit out. But I am gonna look into that and ask a few questions just so I can get a little bit more about the school. Maybe it's just a little the small things, because they do matter. I am gonna ask about cybersecurity to those that I know who are interested in it and those who are studying it.
And then knowing that it's such a hot and up and coming field, you could potentially look into how it aligns with law and psychology that you're
Yeah.
already interested in. Because if you're that lawyer who's dealing with cyber attacks, that could really set you apart. So great talking to you guys. Thank you for joining in the really insightful episode that you two have made it of the senior year game plan, where we unpacked essential steps for making the informed decisions about school, finding the right options in a school, and then career paths that will align with your goals. So I really do want to thank you for that. And then a key reminder is to be proactive, whether it's by taking a campus tour or researching careers or exploring financial resources, that every step you take is going to bring you closer to your fulfilling future. So then next week, we're going to dive into using professional networks and building professional networking so that you can gain real world experience, how you guys as students can jumpstart that in part of your careers, because we both have seen, and Samantha last week said, about how internships are so important and networking. And so these experience will talk about how they'll give you real world insights, and then of course also develop meaningful connections for you to make you stand out in the competitive job market. So again, thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. Take care and enjoy the rest of your week.
Bye.
Thank you.